the shift.
All right, Selma, repeat your quote now that I've corrected it.
You don't get what you want, you get who you are, by Neville Goddard.
That's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes me think that like sometimes you just get the things that are handed in front of you. Like we're always seeking something, and a lot of times it's that seeking that keeps us away from actually, I don't know, like living the thing that we're seeking. What you got, and that's all there is to it.
Or we miss out on it because we're looking for the wrong thing instead of just waiting for what's supposed to come our way.
Yeah.
And there's that level of responsibility included in there, though, that is, if you're getting who you are, then you get to see who are you being. And
Yeah.
who you are being is everything you're seeing around you, what shows up for you, for your environment. It's close to causing, but I don't think it's about that. But it is, and responsibility doesn't even make it fun. I like to think of it again as manifesting, a part of manifesting that ownership that we are godlike. And when we're stepping into that is when we see the empowerment of it. And when we're not being empowered, that stuff shows up too.
Yeah. It's definitely, I definitely think it's a part of manifesting, because I think so often we try to manifest in a certain way. Like, I want this thing to happen, or I want this thing in my life, or I want to be a certain person or a certain way. If we don't reveal who we are now, we can't change into who we want to be. And I don't even think that we have to see who we are now, but we have to at least let go of who we are now. Be willing to change and move and bend to and accept that we are who we are, and that's what we have.
Yeah, and I think that's like on the verge of it. I think it's really talking about the pure beingness of who we are in the moment. Not like to judge it or analyze it or accept it, or not to do anything with it. It's not the doing. It's not the having either, because having gets, it's not the wanting, because wanting gets in the way of having.
It's the observation of it.
Yeah, it's the be, do, have, that we're being, and out of that, the action comes, and then out of that, results. We have it.
And I think it's something beautiful to just align ourselves in with the moment, to kind of pursue what it is we actually want in this moment, rather than trying to say that what we're pursuing is so far out in the future. And I think a lot of times that turns us into this like almost ADHD-like state where we are pursuing the gratification right now. But at the same time, I think it allows us to just be in the moment, to be happy where we are, and to say, oh, hey, I want to try this thing. And then we go and we try it. And that's all we need.
I think that is getting who we are. In those moments. We're just in pure being, like a baby in pure being. Like that's who they are.
Yeah.
Well, we have that pure stage. Then we know. Then we know what we want and what's next, and how to the next step, at least, and it opens up the flow.
Comes in one step at a time, one moment at a time, and that's all we got. This one moment.
Moment is expandable, like we are.
But I kind of like this idea of like the Three of Cups is kind of enjoying that moment. It's enjoying that thing that's been given to us, the abundance, the life.
Yeah.
And this person that's working in the background, he almost seems like a I don't know, lowly folk peasant type person, but at the same time it's almost just like the universe is just working for us to give us what we need. And if we just learn to enjoy the moment, then we have it all.
So I think I can't see that clearly enough. So right by the person wearing the gold, there's is that a face sticking out?
I think they're holding grapes.
Oh, good.
So when I look up the Three of Cups, it's celebrating community, it's celebrating socializing, it's celebrating coming together. And the Eight of Pentacles, obviously, it's hard work, it's putting in the work for things. I like to Google everything, so I Googled these two cards to see, what they mean. And to me, it's perfect, especially for today. So today, on Wednesdays, I've been making the effort to join in, do the podcast, and make sure that I'm actually attending. And then I've also recently, the last couple weeks, started hanging out with a friend of mine who's also very creative and artistic. She's a balloon artist. That's actually why I'm doing these. Like, we're talking about how to get little businesses starting, how to get ourselves out there. So these two cards together talk about combining hard work but also social interaction.
Yes.
Because I mean, similar in just, like I said, I'm trying to find this spark, I'm putting in all this work, I'm getting all hyper fixated looking for something, and here comes Solma. She's like, well, you just got to stay curious about it, stay open to it coming. And I was like, oh, I know this, I just got so hyper focused, I forgot that. And I do need these social interactions to remind me that you can do hard work, but you can do it in a fun way with people that you enjoy, and doing things with others can help you grow in faster than you would by yourself, you know?
Yes.
So these cards, every time we do this, I feel like the universe is speaking to me, but this specifically, I was like, that's my day. This is my day today. It's this, and then tonight with my friend. I love
Nice.
it.
3 is a number for creativity. And so interacting with community stimulates that. And that, just like you're saying, otherwise, I mean, we're all so capable and, thinkers and speakers and all that. And it's so easy to just like think we know, or think this is it, and forget to ask just
Or
for
yeah,
anything. Ask for help, ask for idea, ask for opinion, ask for comment. Yeah, we forget to ask outside of ourselves. Gets to be on a like a here I go.
Oh, I don't know. I wonder about that idea of asking outside of ourselves. I think asking outside of ourselves is a beautiful thing, and I think I need to do it more. Is pursue more of what's outside of myself these days. But at the same time, anytime that I have a question now, it's almost like, well, if I have the question, then I probably have an answer that I'm looking for, and maybe that's part of the
Yes.
journey, is to say, well, I have this question and I have the answer that I'm looking for, but what if the answer that I'm looking for is not truly the answer and it's just what I'm looking for?
I think it's more there's not ever really the answer. However, just having it go into conversation to develop and recognize further, well, that's something, there's a part that intrigues me. But no, not this other stuff. It's like more to discern and more to choose. And it's sort of like when you're asking some questions, it's like a survey. Well, what do you think of this? Not because I'm going to change it, but like, what what does it, like a piece of art, what do you feel? Do you feel anything? Do you not feel? Just like, just getting feedback pretty much.
mm-hmm.
And out of that, again, I think if you're designing something to be in service of others, then you want to know how it lands for them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it touching what you think? And if it isn't, it's okay. And is there some way that you could serve them anyway with what they're asking about?
I think for me, sometimes it's hard to find the question even. I
Yeah.
agree with Elias. Like, when you have the question, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to find the answer as long as you're willing to look at it from all angles and willing to stay on that question until you feel that you have gotten the answer that you're looking for or that satisfies your curiosity. But sometimes I don't even know what question I'm asking. I don't even understand what I'm feeling enough to comprehend what question I could come up with to get me to the right place. I think hard work around friends is very helpful. Things like this, help me reframe my understanding. And I think I do better work on my own when I have these types of conversation, this type of support. People who don't think I'm crazy for thinking that there's another side of the realm and I can speak freely and not have that judgment because, to myself, I don't have that. But if I'm talking to my partner and I'm telling him, I had a dream about being on the other side of the ethereal realm. And when I crossed over, I was doing this. And, they're just like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, I think, Avra would have said, oh, well, how were you on the other side of the realm? What were you like? Like, just someone who gets the weird and is going to vibe on the same wavelength and be like, okay, let's explore this with you. And maybe just having someone there with me, not even like to hold my hand through, but just knowing that I have someone there with me and I'm safe to explore these weird ideas without thinking I'm crazy, I've lost my mind, I shouldn't talk about this, like sometimes that's all we need, just having the support there. So I really like these cards. I think they speak to my soul today.
Yes. Yeah. And you did just speak to, by coming and interacting with us. That's still reaching outside of yourself. And it is the way that we get, I'll just say fed in a whole different way, newly, newly from where not necessarily different or than what actually it's pretty individual. We keep adding and coming up with our version because that's what we have anyway. And for me, that also is why I don't look for one answer. Yes. Even in meditating, if I have a specific question, yes, I'm going to get what is next to do. And then in doing that and connecting with whoever, then the next part falls in line. So, but you are absolutely following your guidance and you're led to the next part. We just get led further. And then we talk to someone else.
I think Daniela's point is the beautiful point in at least how we interact with others. And so often people I think all of us really, we have these thoughts and ideas that we want to explore, that we want to see what else is there, that we want to evolve with. And I think that's how some of our best thinkers have come about is, oh, I have this idea and I want to play with it and I want to explore it. And a lot of times they have to go off on their own and explore it themselves.
Sure.
But I think having those people that can support that thought, support the wavelength to explore it with you are super valuable people. And I think that's what I've tried to emulate myself in observing others and what is it that they are trying to bring about. Can I show interest in a way that supports them rather than create some sort of conflict within them and then they're hurt and it just ends up in a bad way. But I feel like a lot of us have, I don't know, I see it almost, it feels to me like it's a human nature type thing where we're naturally curious about the world. We are born to just be curious and want to interact and experience what this life is like. And I think that's where we have people go wrong, is where they were turned down on their curiosity, or that their curiosity was too much, or that they weren't able to explore the way they wanted to explore. And so I often wonder if like the generational traumas that we have are stemmed from that view of that someone's curiosity, a child's curiosity, is not correct or is not the way that society works or whatever.
we're born curious. We're born flexible and malleable. And I think a lot of us do face a lot of dismissive people in our lives, not necessarily because they don't care or they don't think that you should explore it, but because they're tired and they're worried about other things. I remember I had even teachers that would really dismiss what I look back now. I'm like, that was really good questions. Like these were really interesting, curious concepts that I was exploring at 8, 9, 10. But when you have people around you that they're tired, they have a structure to stick to. They also don't have the bandwidth to explore these ideas with you. They don't have the patience. Um, we just shut it down. And when you're anyone that gardens will tell you, like little baby plants when they're first sprouting, you step on that and it's pretty easy to take them out. Once a plant has grown into a full-grown shrub or a tree, obviously it can take quite a bit more. Like us, we can as adults take more, but when you're just growing up and you're just starting out, it sucks how much society just dismisses us and shuts us down. So it's nice that as an adult, I have found other adults that are willing to stay curious and explore and, you know, do the hard work, which is self-improvement, which is the hardest work. If the leaders of our world would do this, we would be in a very different reality right now.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
But I see it with my own kids of they just want my interaction and they want someone who will engage with them in the things that they're curious about. And in one of my visions that I had, I saw my dad as the same. He was this little boy that was just full of energy and so curious about the world and wanting to share it with someone. And these are all things that I've like seen in him in his current state of being, is that he just wants to share his life with people. And his parents didn't give him that time, and they had their own preoccupations that were going on in their mind, and so caught up in all this stuff that's going on, and not just taking the time to slow down and just be with him. And I see that with so many parents, and I think it's something that I'm working on with my own daughters is, can I slow down enough so that the things that are going on in my life, that are going on in my mind, are not more important than they are. They are the most important part. And yeah, sure, I have to get stuff done. I have to do the dishes. I have to, clean up after, we made a big mess or something. But as it, bringing them involving them in those processes and saying, okay, if we want to go on to this next thing, we got to clean this up. And then we can dive into this next thing and make a mess and do whatever we need to do just to be creative and have fun, but not shutting down their natural instinct to just be creative and have a desire to explore the life that they have.
The other day on Instagram, I saw this conversation. It was a cute post that a teacher was just teaching and just being amazing. And in the comments, people were talking about their teacher that really impacted them in a beautiful way. And one of the comments that really stuck with me was this person talked about how they went up to their teacher and said, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but can I ask you? And the teacher said, you are never an interruption. You are the purpose. Like, and back to what you were saying, Elias, about with your girls, like, I have to get stuff done. But the reason you're getting stuff done is so that you can provide and be there and give your girls a life, right? So it's remembering that, yes, we do have to do that stuff, but to do the intentional work of refocusing and being like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. So I'm going to remember this is the purpose. This is the point. The other stuff is the interruption, having to go to work is the interruption of my life. My life does not interrupt my job. Get out of here.
My other favorite quote by John Lennon: life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans.
That is a good quote. Yeah.
So often we're so preoccupied and busy with everything that's going on, but we forget that, hey, this is the life that we're meant to live. We're right here, right? We're in it right now. If you don't do the thing that you want to do now, then you're just going to regret it later on.
Yeah, no one ever gets to their deathbed and wishes they worked more overtime.
Nope. I wish I had more money.
Yeah. He wrote that song at a time where he was at home with taking care of his son. He was no longer doing Beatles stuff and, just stepping out of all of that and enjoying being home and writing from there. And it was amazing. It's
So
a
much of
double fantasy.
I feel like so much of the near death experiences bring people to that realization where they have that realization, oh, I almost died. I'm going to start living my life the way that I want to live it. And
Yes.
it just turns them around and turns around everything that they live for.
The real flex too is keeping that mentality. Cuz I had a couple in a year, which was unfortunate, and then in recent time when I was at that job that was just way too difficult, surrounded by people who were not my friends or didn't have my best interest at heart, you forget it and you get caught up in things, and then it's a practice to constantly remember to this is the life, this is the moment, this is the purpose. That's why it's good to have friends like you guys to remind me.
Yes. Select the people that you want to engage with.
They say you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And so, like, I started really taking that to heart when I realized that stuff that was happening. And I was like, find people who are positive, supportive, who maybe even if they do get down in the dumps, like we all do, they still remember, like, okay, this will pass. We have to keep our focus on this. Like, I'll do what I need to do. People who stay, I don't know, stay driven, motivated. It's healthy.
Yeah, and I think it's who are we aligned with? I look back at, for whatever reason lately, I've been listening to songs that I listened to back when I was in my late teenage years and early adulthood.
Yeah.
And I listen to those songs and I hear the freedom and the amount of I don't know, like hippy dippy songs that they were, and just like how much they were about nature and just being free. And it feels like that was the desire that I had inside of me, to live a similar life, or to live that feeling of just kind of being in a euphoric state. And I feel like that's kind of where my marriage kind of went wrong, was that I wasn't living that life. I wasn't able to feel that freedom. To like, everything felt so restrictive and it felt so corporal and it felt so like defined by the culture that we're surrounded by. And I think I just didn't like that. It wasn't the life that I needed to live. And I think I finally started saying, no, I'm going to live the life that I want to live. I'm going to live that feeling that I have inside of me. I want to follow that feeling. And then I think it's similar to what we talk about with manifesting, or maybe not with manifesting, but with trying to think of
Dr. Joe
Joe
Dispenza.
Dispenza. Like his the way he talks about it is like, once you start living your life, everything else just sheds away. Everything else just falls out of your life and you don't have to worry about it. And I feel like that's what has happened to me and continues to happen. And even like the things that are most important to me, like my girls, continue to stay in my life and continue to be there. And all the like divorce court proceedings right now, my ex-wife is trying pretty hard to have 100% custody and have like a very limited, like have me be a very limited part of their life. And it's not working because it's not what the universe wants. And it's not what I want in my life. Not that I don't even have to fight that hard, but the courts and the attorneys just see that, oh, hey, this is someone that needs to be in their life. And
Yeah.
it's working out.
Yes. And her choice is coming out of anger. And that's why it's not working for her.
Yeah.
you're in your beingness. And so that's the way it goes. The flow happens at
Yeah.
those points. Yeah.
When I
Congratulations. I'm
when I
saying
met,
it. I said congratulations. I'm saying ahead of time.
but it was like my friend told me the other day, hey, we need to be careful about different things so that we can make sure that you get access with the girls. And I said, no, no, I need to be me. I need to be who I am. And if that's not enough to be with my girls, then the universe will figure that out for me. But you know,
That won't I don't think that'll happen. Because like you said, like if as long as you're a good, supportive, a constructive energy in their lives, there's absolutely no reason to take it away. And your ex may be angry at you, but your girl should not have collateral damage for that. And I mean, I'm sure once she can move past that hurt, she'll see it too, and she'll appreciate that you stick by. She'll appreciate that you put in the effort to stay in their lives because your little girls will remember that for life. I don't know. I know a couple of us at least have grown up without all our parents around, at least me, I guess. Yay. Your mom, maybe. But it's not something you let go of easy. It's definitely very worthwhile to have both parents, if not more parents. You want a village. You want everyone around. You want a happy, peaceful coexistence. So as long as you focus on that part and being good for the girls, everything else will fall into place. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I'm not psychic.
well, it's kind of like I keep saying, the cards will fall where they will, and I just have to keep going on.
Mhm.
Alvaro, what you got to say? You've been quiet.
Yeah, I was thinking of what you were saying about the 5 people that you keep closest to you. Sometimes you're not, the universe puts the people that you're supposed to be around in your life.
Mhm.
And you know, for me, that's the opportunity to be those 5 people for yourself. If you're kind of, bedridden on your deathbed, all this stuff, and the people around you have the same energy. I mean, that's been for me. I've had to learn how to elevate myself in that and keep myself up because, like Daniela was saying, it's the real flex is when you keep that mentality despite the
Yeah.
after it fades from having your near death experiences.
Yeah.
Because yeah, for me too, it has been like, well, I'm just gonna get more intense this time. It's already been intense. I'm just gonna, if I could handle that, then I can handle the next thing. And I know that, if I keep coming back from death, then it's for a reason. So it's like, even though I don't know what the reason is and I don't remember what happened on the other side, like, it's, just the fact that I keep coming back. It's like, it's that, the same feeling that I had when I survived my fatal car wreck, when supposedly I shouldn't have, when I was 16. I just thought, well, I'm gonna be hard to kill. Like, I'm just invincible, right? Right.
I also feel invincible.
But you
Right.
forgot to say, it doesn't mean you have to keep testing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 16 years old, Solma. I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, yeah, go ahead, try me. Try me, B.
I got it.
You're gonna have a hard time with me. And it's been true. I can't be poisoned, I can't be killed, no matter how many times. It's like just that mentality. And I think, yeah, and I have even put myself in situations where I know I'm about to move in with a very violent person, right? And feeling that level of security and safety. And I don't know, I just keep thinking of the 8 of Pentacles with all of this, right? It's what I've been building in the background that runs my life. But this is the first time I've noticed how much this little guy reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. The dress.
Oh yeah, the robe. The dress and the apron, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, willing to go into this, like if you think of Alice and how, like, even though she didn't remember having been there before, everybody remembered her in, when she went down the rabbit hole, right? So that's what came up when I was looking at this. I was like, you've been building something, even though I don't have the memory of all that I've been building in the background.
Yes. Yet.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I don't ever need to have it, so that there's no need for a yet.
You don't need, but you might. That's all. It
You've
might.
been taking all the steps. Yeah. Like, you don't always know where you're going. You just know the direction you need to go. And as long as you keep taking steps, later on makes sense.
Yeah, eventually it
That's
makes
how it
sense why things happen, but that doesn't speak to what I've been building unconsciously. My point is, like, you can still have certainty in the uncertainty, which is what I've been trying to
Yes.
get to, because I don't have the memories, because I don't have, I'm trying to get myself out of that whole idea of I need to remember something, I need to remember or get back to something, get back to a certain way of being, trying to remember the things so that I can get back to that. That's my point, is I don't need to remember how I got there in the first place or how to get back to a certain way of being, because I can still have that certainty in the uncertainty, in the unknown, in whatever's coming. Because that's actually something I have talked about before in one of the prior episodes of, like, for me, it's not the fear of the future based on the past, because in the past I was a lot more confident in that uncertainty because I had more groundedness in who I was and certain and the memories that got me there because I was building them at the time. But, so it's like if I had that, I wouldn't have the same fear of the future because I love the uncertainty, right? And so something happened at some point where all of a sudden I don't remember most things, and I'm like having these redonkulous fears of what's happening in the future if I no longer have a certain set of skills or whatever. And that's my point. It's like I don't need to have any of those skills. I've been developing other skills, and who knows what they are right now. I don't know what they are. What skills am I developing while I sleep, right?
None of your business.
Yeah, it's none of my
You
business.
just keep developing them.
And when it's develop something else, then you'll know that too.
Yeah. I heard something the other day. It's like some people say that it's the ones who are like unassuming, the ones who show themselves to be weak, that are like the strongest people. And I don't remember, some sort of story somebody made up, and I've just been listening to these commercials. It's just like, okay, I'm letting myself be super distracted because I know something is going to come through all of this, the fogginess.
I think what you're saying speaks a lot to regret, and like so many of us, not to have regret, but like to just let go of regret. So many of us like think back on our times of, oh, I had all these good, we reminisce on all these good times that we had, or I had everything back at this time in my life, or oh, how do I get back what I've lost? And I think it comes down to, you haven't lost anything. You still have your life, you still have your body, you still have this moment now. And what can you do with the now? What can I do with what you have? And I think that's where the beauty of all these things that we've talked about, like even just start living your life the way you want to live it now, everything else starts to shed away. And that's because you've let go of the past. You've let go of these reminiscent memories or these feelings or these desires to be something that was, just a memory at this point. And just start saying, oh, hey, I have a beautiful life right now, and I can do so much stuff with it. And it's the same principle in like wrestling. Like I think of wrestling. In wrestling, if I'm focused on the area that I'm stuck in, so someone's got me in like some weird arm hold, and I'm like can't move here, and I'm focused on what's happening with the other person and where I'm stuck, I forget all the other areas in my body where I'm free.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing to remember, is I might have this pain. I might not be able to move this. I might not be able to do this other thing, but where is all the other degrees of freedom that I have right now? And how can I develop that? And I think that's where Avra's going a lot, is she's got all these skills that she's developing, and she's not who she used to be, but she's got so much other potential in so many other ways. And adding the label, the title resonant physician, that's something that she didn't have in the past, and something that she gets to develop and explore now. And how can she be that magical, energetic being in who she is now?
That's definitely something that came out of this experience. Like I've said before, that's Solon's fault for putting me into a healers group when I was like, what? Why me? No memory of it or anything like that. Like, why do people think I'm magical? I have no memory. Like, why do people call me a healer? Blah blah blah, and all the things that I was being called. Like, no memory of it. No. So it's like it's tough to resonate with the regret part of that, but most of that, yeah. Because I have no regrets. I know that I'm no regrets and no shame. Those are like, I know that I'm learning. It's more of a feeling lost, like disconnected to the person that I thought I was, or that other people are telling me that I was, or yeah. So it's like having people talk to me like as if I remember any of what they're saying, telling me stories. And of course, a lot of them crack me up because I'm funny and I've always been goofy and weird. But yeah, to have any sort of connection and have any memory of what I did or why I did it, that's like, it's feeling stranger to myself. So feeling even more alien than I was already. Used to be alien because I couldn't connect with other people. And now it's because I can't connect with myself, or I couldn't. And,
You
feeling like I
feel like you
wanted to
think
know
you can.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like all I've been focusing on is trying to connect with her, and the one that everybody was in love with and a big fan of. And, people used to get starstruck around her when they'd meet her. Right. And she was a big deal. So.
To kind of touch back on what Elias was saying, like, I think a lot of people do feel it as regret, but what it is, and I think how a lot of us can step out of the regret cycle is
Yes.
you're still that person. We romanticize the past. Time heals all wounds, as they say. So as time goes on, we forget about the struggles maybe that we were going through at that time, and how difficult things felt, and how we didn't feel great and awesome and amazing about ourselves, compared to how now when we see ourselves back then, we're like, wow, I was awesome. I was on it. Like, when I think to myself, all my taxes were paid. I had a big, beautiful vehicle, paid on to everything, was just so taken care of all of the time. And I was on it. Like, I had my planner always filled out, just constantly up. And now I feel so disorganized and chaotic and not like the person that I was. But it's partially romanticizing that period of time, forgetting the hurt of it. Because when I think back on it, I'm like, no, things were happening. You were struggling. It was just, you were also on top of these other things that now you're maybe struggling with. But kind of probably, Avra, like what you've done is, you remember I am still very much that person. Like, I've only grown around that person. And maybe that isn't in my conscious memory right now, but I can very easily get to that because I am that person then and more. I do this thing where today is the best day ever. You just have to figure out why. And if you guys ever try it, it's like it is a miraculous thing. At least it was for me. Because every day is your new greatest day, because you have all of the life that you've lived before plus today. So you're gaining more knowledge, more experience, more, right? Even if today I was to get in a car wreck and something awful was to happen, it's still more than before, and the experience and the knowledge and the growth that I could get out of anything like that would be great. So it's not to say that every day is going to be a wonderful, fantastic day. It's you just have to figure out, why is today the best day ever? And for me, it just happens. I'll do little things like this conversation is going to be one of them for today. Hanging out with my friend tonight, I'm sure we're going to have just really great interactions. And then those things stay in your mind and you're like, yeah, today is great. Today is awesome. Even when you have those tough, stressful days when you can't get out of bed, you're taking a nap at noon and you're like, why? What is wrong? Am I sick? Am I dying? And you're freaking out, but you're like, no, okay, this is great. I can figure this out because I have all the experience from before and I have like the capabilities I have today. So a lot of it is just how we frame it. Because I do think a lot of humans do experience things as regret, but regret is such a defeatist type attitude that I think it's better for us to kind of try to be like, no, I don't have any of those. What I need to do is figure out, how can I get to that? How can I keep that mindset that I had? How can I pick those parts from there that I liked and combine them with the parts of here that I like to create a bigger, better, faster, stronger me today, you know?
I think you spoke to why there's like no regret, is because I do know like that the things that I asked for, I've gotten because of what I've been through. So I know that these were like the sacrifices, I guess, because I couldn't get to where I am now from where I was. She did not have the vessel for it. She did not have the groundedness in herself. She did not have this, this knowledge, this awareness. She couldn't have held what I'm holding. And I think that's why I don't, because there's still that part of me that knows that everything I go through is for that. And yeah, like Soma was saying, it doesn't have to be so rough. Like you can always ask for it to be gentler. Yeah,
If you remember.
if you can remember, if you're not 16, which I got that part so far. Sorry, go ahead, Selma.
Yeah, the things I wanted to add were about, there's the point where it's not regret any longer. And Daniela also said a little bit towards this. For me, that's where it comes in handy to, in the looking back. What I did was I wonder, and I want to bring the wonder back because we talked about it being available to kids, but we get to also wonder. Like I wonder, like who am I being now, or how are things that I'm not up to that, and thinking I'm not up to it, and it's like, so taking the time to get familiar with, all right, how was that? It's not a regret, but it's really curious. Daniela used that word too about, what were all the things that were going on at that time? I was in community, like a big community. It was unstoppable support, no matter who you interacted with, beyond 5. There were like 75 of us. And doesn't mean that's, but we each gelled with at least, a dozen people, and a big amount. We knew we were safe. So yesterday, I was taking on a different coach, and I just resonated with them, all this stuff. And then when it started off, I paid a deposit because it was refundable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even chanced. But when I went for it, I was reminded of the very things you were talking about. It's like, that's not the way I can do this. I can't do it this particular way. It's way intense. It's, my life, the way it is right now, I'm already handling so many different things. And maybe I'm missing this, missing that, missing this. But I'm taking my time to get in that place of that flowing. And to add one more thing at this time was just going to be, I was going to say it's Mercury retrograde time, and it'd be more of that. It'd be coyote all over again. It'd be me getting in my way one more time. So it isn't about regret, but it's about the wondering. But I actually felt a point where I did not feel safe taking it off. And so that's when I let them know. And but before that, they said, "Do you love this?" And I said, No." I said, I don't feel that. I go, "You know what? I don't even feel anything about it." I said, "I guess I'm numb." I said, "No, no." And then a little bit more, I went, "I don't feel safe." And it wasn't like I wasn't going to be safe in that program, but just for me, it was weird to not feel safe. My faith in God always has me feel taken care of and all this. And I'm not even trying to make up what it is. I was just like, "No, let me wonder about this too. What is this?" So I get on a call this morning with another development group, and somebody asked the question, "What is it to be safe?" So the whole conversation ended up being about it. And I got present to, yes, there was fear, and then followed defense. But it was not having to be like, it's kind of like I went through this thing in 24 hours instead of like, 6 months of crap to work through, and to just really wonder and pay attention. And I didn't even have to bring it up. Someone else brought it up. And then I got to speak about it, but very little. I just said, "I'm still wondering. I'm here to learn." And it wasn't like anybody was saying stuff for me. Each person speaking their mind, just like we're doing here. And by the end of it, one of the elements I got was there was an endangering of self, like that she mentioned. Sometimes our thoughts have us be endangering ourselves. And I go, "Oh, yeah, I can resonate with that." The times that has happened. And I was really clear this wasn't that. But it was, bringing up different elements like that around it. So, and then initially when you brought up the not needing to know, or I'm the one that ended up saying not needing to know, because you said you didn't need it. And it's true, we don't. I didn't wonder anything about my past, like my whole life, let's say. Even when I was writing my book, I'd had certain memories that I'd write about, but I didn't really know where it was going or how to be put together. And then when those things came together, let's say this is when I got to the place of unfoldment, is when I was 60. All of a sudden it was like, "Oh, this led to this led to this," all the way through. And they're all magical experiences. But that's what I could put together. But it came into place just because it did. I wasn't wondering at that point. I wasn't even curious. I started noticing that those were the things that were coming to mind. And I thought, "Oh, no wonder people build their memoirs at this age." It just starts coming. And I don't know if that's true for everyone, but that's what it made me think too. So some of the stuff, oh, and then the one more thing that you said also, that you didn't need to know why. And I'm like, yay, because we never really do. And yet it's one of the places where we get caught. Well, why did this happen? Can't figure it out. And it helps us stay there longer because we think it's the thing to do, to look for the why, that kind of a why. And then Danielle, I think you ended up with the helpful why. So there's just those places that, it's not even just the word. It's like both sides of the word. And like looking back isn't necessarily resentment. It's what I was saying earlier. You can access that part of you, but you also get to be familiar with it again. And not so that you can be that, but so that you can embody it once more or dig it up for that belief. And the certainty can come from there. The self-certainty of like, "Oh yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, this is workable. This is easy sometimes. I can do
I
this
love
with ease." Yeah.
I love the idea of why, of like not asking why. And it's same thing like goes with kids. You ask them why, and they're like, I don't know why I did that. You know, it's like, what did you do that for? And they're like, I don't know. And
If I gave you a coloring book, why are you painting on the wall?
right. I mean, for that, like the only answer why is, oh, it seemed like fun. It seemed interesting. They're not trying to hurt you, or they're not trying to hurt anything. They're just like, ooh, this intrigued my curiosity. I want to see what this does. And so then they go and do it. And
Yep.
and I think it goes back to that same idea that you were having of looking back and just seeing how it was all connected, how it was all intertwined together. And there's no why to it. It just was. It
It
just
unfolded.
right. It all worked out exactly the way it needed to. And I think we can adopt that same thing in our life. Why do we want to do something? I don't know. I just have this desire to go experience this. You
Yeah.
know, why do I need why whatever? It just is. It's just the existence that we want to create for ourselves. And that's great. And I think we need to be more supportive of each other as we do that. Not us in general, but of just in our society.
Humanity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You want to go explore this thing. You want to go be a massage therapist. Oh, that sounds amazing. Go do it. And it's funny because like I'm always supportive of people's thoughts and their desires. And it's almost as if they are expecting someone to have tension or like to provide a conflict and tension to say, no, you can't do that because that's going to feed them in some way. And then whenever they find that person that's like, yeah, go do it. They come up with all these reasons why they can't do it, or they just like it suddenly fizzles out and they don't go do it. But it would have been so cool. Go pursue the thing.
I read the other day that sometimes we fixate on the why because it gives us this illusion of control. Because we think if we can understand it, like when say something negative happens and you're trying to figure out why, why was I in that car wreck? Why did this happen? Why did this? And you think that if you understand it, somehow you can avoid those patterns, right? You can catch on to that pattern recognition and you can avoid it in the future. But like you guys said, sometimes, and actually, you're right, Soma. We never really know the why. We can come up with a why and we can be as sure as we can be, but it's possible to cross over and be like, well, this ultimately happened because this massive string of events here. So if in there you can somehow find a why, like cool, but really there's just no such thing as why. Why is a construct? Why is something that we've invented so that we can have that illusion of control. So it's very healthy, but also a very difficult practice to let go of the hows and the whys of, I want to be a famous singer. How am I going to get there? Or, my, I don't know, my boyfriend cheated on me. Why? We fixate on these things, but it just gets us stuck. It gets us caught in that loop. And as they say, if you're fixated on anything in the past, you're depressed. If you're fixated on anything in the future, you're anxious. So it's a practice of constantly coming back to the here and to the now, to remember we're not supposed to be figuring out how I'm going to do this in the future or why this happened in the past. I'm supposed to be here now, just being.
When I think the why is such a logical and like such logical thinking, and we try to be so logical in our life, like we have to follow all these steps to get to a certain life, or like we have to work overtime so we can have more money, so we can have more time and freedom, when you could have just had more time and freedom if you didn't work overtime.
Yeah.
There's all these logical thoughts centered around why. I kind of come to that conclusion. I've said it here before, that all of our logic is just illogical, that it's things that we've created these little dots that we want to connect in our brain, and suddenly that is the logic, and that is the thing that we're going to follow. And so we create all these illogical logic points, and that's how we determine our life around. That's what we center our life around. Then it goes back to what you were saying of like, we just made up a why. There's so much going on that we can't comprehend all the things that led up to why this thing happened. All these all these events that just synced into that one event. We can't figure out all the whys, but we can come up with reasons, and it entertains our brain. And
Yes, yes. And that is what we often see. It becomes that repetition or that loop, and we just automatically ask why and why and why. And you can always make up a reason. You can always be creative in that sense. So then, how about being creative in the other sense of like, well, I mean, I guess the opposite would be why not? If we could wonder about why not.
It's
But
the same thing, but in a different way. Yeah, it's just the same thing.
but at least your brain is getting out of the loop, you
Oh
know?
yeah, breaking the why cycle.
Yeah, interrupting it. Yeah. And then you go from there. It's not a solution. It's just another way to like create a new neural pathway, as they say, in the brain.
well, and there is the why that Twitchy Rich comes up with her alchemical process of, and what is it, Abra? It's and why, or and what, and now what, or that little statement that we put. You create a story and then you say, and so what, or is that what it is?
And so it is?
No, it
Yeah.
is something like so what?
And so what? So why does that matter? That's kind of like
Oh,
the
yeah.
statement that you're saying is like,
A little bit. Yeah. It stimulates you to go further.
right. And then you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and you find all these whys, and then finally run out of whys, and you're like, just because it is. Like, it just is what it is. And you get to that spot and you're like, oh, hey, you just hit the very exact point that you're supposed to be on. You hit your purpose. It
You just cleared
is.
all that other crap out.
Yeah. You just exist, and that's all there is to it. Like, that is the ultimate why. Why
It's
did this
okay,
happen?
but-
Because you exist.
Okay, and.
Yeah. Okay, and.
Okay, and. I did that.
Yeah.
I did that one time.
To touch back actually on something the great prophet Elias said last week was, am I happy with the construct that I've created around this experience? Because we were talking about life lessons, right? And how we create these lessons. When we create the whys, it's the exact same thing. We're creating these whys and then we come back later on and it's completely changed.
Yes.
So we may create something, but then it's not even going to mean anything to us in 2 months, 2 years,
2
a couple
minutes.
decades. Yeah, 2 minutes even. And then we obsessed over it for who knows how long. So yeah, it's very worthwhile to let go of that need for control of the
I'm
whys.
curious about, which I think, Elias was sort of brought it up too. I was about to ask what, because Solma said there's like a alluding to two different kind of whys. Like there's a constructive why or something like that. Curious what you mean by that.
I think I called it empowering, maybe. I don't remember what I said. I guess it's a good thing we have it record.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I think you could look at it as a curiosity why, and the scientific why. This thing is happening. I want to know more about that. I want to dive deeper into what the chemical structure is and how the atoms fit together. And you start digging in deeper, and you get curious. Why is that happening? But then there's I think the logical why, where it's almost accusatory, and there needs to be a logic behind some action. And the logic doesn't necessarily need to be there. Like, you can dive in and be curious and ask, why is this happening? And that why might change from time to time. So you might find some sort of logic behind it, and you've learned behind that, but there might be so much more to that why, or to that piece of the answer that you've come across. And so I think there's the curiosity why, and then there's the stick yourself in some sort of structure why, and you trap yourself in this room of the structure that you've built around the logic of that why.
Yeah, why did this happen is the one that sets up the loop. And I don't know, the only one that comes to mind to me right now is why not? But you're asking that at a time, why not have this? Why not do this? Why looking for towards the future, I think. And then it came back to looking at that the past, it's not about the past, it's not about the future, but it's about the now. And for me, it's instead of asking why at all, it's about the wondering, because that comes from this moment. And I mean, I got that from being here talking with you, that fits in the middle nicely. It's wondering, it's pondering, it's, gazing, daydreaming, I don't know, meditating. Though, because in meditation, you're not asking why. You might be asking direct questions that can be resolved. But I don't know. I found that the more I meditate, the more the answers come quickly. But again, I don't even like to call them answers. So if I stay out of the place of answer, this is what was given, I guess, is more what I think of, because it could have been anything, but it was this. So I don't think of like there is the answer. The brain can always create something else. And maybe that goes into what's true and what's not, but I think that's questionable too. I think the more we question, the better, and the more conscious we are with our questions, the better. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you had anything specific in mind when you said that. Because, you both are like, you don't need the whys and all this stuff. But the way when you're describing the whys that you're thinking of, I'm like, oh, I never ask why this happened. Why would this happen? What I'm asking is like, why do I think this way? Like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Trying to get like, why, how did I develop it? And so that I can get to the root of that.
It is the empowering part. That is why I called it the empowering part. You're asking a question towards something, not why did this happen? That's the regret question that keeps you stuck.
Why do I think I'm this or that? Like, that's
That's
weird.
also accepting responsibility,
Mhm.
willing to accept or look for how
Yeah.
was I responsible in having to go this way?
Yeah, for me, it's like challenging every single belief that I have. Like, why? Why would I? Why
Yes.
am I this? Why did I end up this way with this line of thinking? Or why did I just think that that was an appropriate response to what just happened or whatever? Right? Like, what's up? Where
Yeah.
did that come from?
And even that can sound self-judging, but it's not that. It's not those kinds of questions. It's,
Hmm.
it's becoming familiar with a different part of yourself that you, again, are curious about.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's not unconscious.
Right. There you go.
Well, and I think that curiosity is a key point with it. Is if you're curious about it and you're kind of neutral about the answer that comes along or whatever you discover, then that neutrality dissolves it in and of itself. It
Hmm.
dissolves the issue. It dissolves the problem that's been there.
Yeah, so often you don't even need the answer after you ask.
If you go in with that illusion of control that you mentioned, you have a why and you think that you're going to have some sort of control because of this why, then you're creating more structure around it. You're building that why up, and that why becomes part of your story and becomes part of who you are, and you're just building that ego further. And maybe
Yes.
maybe you find some control over whatever is happening, but to me it seems like you're just reinforcing the history, the structure that you've already created.
Yes, we're practicing the things that aren't helpful. It's, like we're doing all these other things to practice because everything takes practice. Well, we have all these other things we've already practiced that weren't such a great idea, but they're the ones that have become, I also call it a skill. We're like so in that we don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just coming out. So then the next practice is catching those practices that aren't needed anymore. We never were, but at least now you can be conscious to them.
And I think with that, we will close. So, shifties, stay curious, stay in the now, and let the past go and live your life, because You only got one. You only have this moment. You don't know if an asteroid's going to come and hit you in the head. So might as well live as if you're going to die.
So your desire.
But we love you, Shifties.
Love you, Shifties. The end.